Gentleman yields back. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questions, and thank you, Inspector General Walk and your team, for your patience with us here this morning with the disruptions we've had, but now we're back on track. I wanted to follow up a little bit more on some of the previous questioning regarding foreign influence, malign influence, and purchases of land. That's been a big topic of conversation. I know USDA now has a role in CFIUS, but my understanding is it's a limited role, that USDA is not a full partner in CFIUS. Is that accurate? Can you characterize that relationship?
My understanding is the USDA is there for when the transaction involves agriculture, but not a permanent member of the CFIUS.
But I understand it's for land use decisions, though. Is that accurate, or is
Right.
But not necessarily a foreign company, a sale of a foreign company that may involve the ag space. Is that accurate?
That I'm not sure. I can get back to you on that.
Okay, because there's been some concern expressed to me. In fact, I met recently with a former FBI agent whose background was in biotech security. He says, yeah, we have every right to be concerned about land adjacent to military bases and all that. And I think we're getting our arms around that. But he also shared that we have a tremendous amount of data from farmers that's being shared specifically with China through the purchase of Chinese acquisitions of U.S. companies. And he said, of all the things, he said, that should scare the heck out of you guys. From your perspective, how vulnerable is the U.S. food supply chain and the broader ag sector to malign foreign interference? And how is USDA currently detecting and responding to that national security threat?
So on the foreign land ownership and the cyber piece, I think those are very important pieces, because you do have the purchases of farmland, but as you say, there's a big push towards precision agriculture, which involves the collection of tremendous amounts of agricultural data, and there's also drone use, and a lot of those drones, as you know, we rely on Chinese drones. And so there's a question about what can be exploited with essentially that type of a data map of our agriculture ecosystem. And then when you marry that with farmland purchases, I think there's a lot there from an oversight perspective that we need to understand what that threat is. The other threat that we're seeing is in terms of our research labs, because as we discussed earlier, the Chinese smuggling of fusarium into the United States to be researched at a United States lab, that presents concerns. Particularly, one of the smugglers was a known CCP member, so that's a very troubling concern. So we do need to safeguard our labs, our vetting, our credentialing, making sure that they're following security protocols. Also, in terms of importations itself, watching the ports, we've had several issues related to port security and foods coming in that are banned, particularly from China. And I could turn it over to Nicole, who can talk a little bit more about our port security, if that's helpful.
If I could, I got another question
Okay.
I'd like to get, and I will follow up on that. But I want to dive a little bit deeper. I know Chairman Harris was talking about some of the fraud before, and frankly, I don't care who discovers it. If fraud is fraud, and we shouldn't be concerned anywhere on this panel, if there's wrongdoing out there, we should be applauding that effort. I had a chance to speak recently with Deputy Secretary Vaden, and he shared some of the data that just was mind-boggling to me. That we need to get the granular data from all the states on the SNAP recipients. We're currently only getting that from 28 states, or 22 that refuse to give it to us. But of the 28 that we have, he was sharing that that we found already 340,000 dead people who are actively using these benefits. These aren't just orphaned accounts that are out there and have been stagnant for a while. Someone's actually touching those things. Another a recipient who's been receiving benefits in 7 states. That doesn't even start to contemplate the county-to-county fraud that we're pretty sure is happening in places. And one account with over an $80,000 balance that is being used just often enough to not be expunged. That's another whole issue. There's at a point over $5 billion in expunged money that OMB is sitting on. But he had shared with me that this One Farmer, One File initiative to try to get USDA working on one computer systems so the systems could talk. Have you had a chance to dive into that at all yet?
On the FSA, on the farm program side?
Yes.
I have not. Ulysses, have you worked on that?
So we are aware that the department is trying to have a one entry for all farmers, but we have not done any work at this time. We are familiarizing ourselves with what information is out there.
Okay. Well, the concern have been shared is just across USDA, there are multiple duplicative computer systems that don't speak to one another, which really opens the door for a lot of this fraud. So anyway, my time is up for now, but appreciate your comments on that. And